Today, we're diving into the Shopify inventory settings and features. If you stock your own inventory and have been wondering what's the best way to keep track of it all, then this video is for you. Even if you've been using Shopify for years, I think you'll learn something new here because Shopify upgraded their inventory management features about a year ago, and a lot of people still don't know about these new features. So today, we're going to look at how you can set your inventory, how it adjusts through different states when getting a sale, how to make manual adjustments, and how to replenish your inventory, all so that you can keep better track of your stuff. Okay, let's take a look. So, while Shopify inventory features have improved, they are still fairly basic. But if you have a small catalog or limited inventory, you can stick with a really simple method that still only uses a small subset of the available features. Let's take a look. So first, let's set the inventory. So I'm in the Shopify admin here, and we're looking at a demo product. And if you scroll down to the variant section, you can select an individual variant like this, and you can see the quantity amounts. But you can also do it in bulk, which is the method that I prefer to do. So we can go to the variants area, select all, and then just click bulk edit. And so here you can see that you've got two numbers, shop location available and shop location on hand. Um, if you don't see that, then it probably means you have to check this box, right? Because if you have them unchecked, then you're not actually tracking inventory and you can't change those numbers. So the product is just always going to be available. You might want to do that if you don't actually need to track your inventory. Say, for example, you do some drop shipping or you do print on demand, and inventory isn't really a concern for you. Then you can actually just turn this off, and you're basically done. But if you do stock your own stuff, then you probably want to turn on the track inventory checkbox so that you can actually set the numbers of how much of each item that you have. If you don't see the checkbox here, you can actually go into the columns and just turn it on, track inventory. There's another setting here that is going to be quite useful, is the continue selling when out of stock. So the use of this feature does depend on how you like your store to operate, but how it works is if you run out of stock normally, then your store will show out of stock. So let's look at an example. So this is the product that we were just looking at. And you can see here when the product is out of stock, you can't actually buy it. It's sold out. So this is the black 3XL shirt. So if we go to our black 3XL and check this box, continue selling when out of stock and saving, then when we refresh, you can see that it's now available for sale. And so that way, even if you're out of inventory, it doesn't stop you from being able to sell it. We'll get into what this means on an inventory level in a little bit. So now we've looked at the two settings here. One is how to even just turn on inventory to begin with. And the second one was to continue selling even when you're out of stock. Now, if you want to change the inventory levels, you can actually just change any of these numbers. So if this 500 turns into 100, then there we go. We've turned it into 100. If you want to change it to 300, it's very simple. And you can see that both of these numbers are aligned. So if I change it here, it will change it on this side as well. For now, you can just assume they're one and the same, but I'll get into what the difference is a little bit later. Okay, so let's save. And now let's head over to the orders area. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend to make an order and see how that changes our inventory. So you could do a simulated order, by ordering it on your website. What I'm going to do is just a draft order to make it a little bit simpler. So we're going to look for our inventory items, and we're going to do one black XL where there's 0 available. We're going to see here, let's say the white extra small. Right? The white extra small is also not available. But in this case, it's not set to continue selling when out of stock. So we'll see what happens when we do that. And then we're going to choose, say, a black extra small where we have 100 of these. Okay, so let's add this into our order. And then let's save it. And then let's collect payment. So let's just mark this as paid. And this will create the order. Okay, so now we have our order. Let's take a look now when we refresh what happens. So now you can see our black extra 3XL now has a -1, right? Because we sold even when we were out of stock, but uh, we didn't have that item in stock. So now it takes us into the negatives. We're going to see the same thing here for the white extra small, but I thought that we can't continue selling when it's out of stock, which is true, but it only happens, it only prevents us from buying on the front end, right? So we can't buy it on the front end on our actual website, but if you're creating a draft order on the back end, this works. But um, that's just a nuance for you to understand. And then you can see here that we have uh, this 99 for shop location available, and then 100 for on hand. So now we can talk a little bit about what the difference is here. So what's available is what we can actually sell, right? So we had 100, we've sold one, we can't sell that same one twice, so now it changes it to 99. But we haven't shipped that shirt yet. So on hand means what's still at your shipping warehouse is still the 100, right? So once we've shipped out that one, then they're both will show 99. And so we can show what that show looks like. We can say we've just fulfilled this order, fulfill items, and let's fulfill. Okay, and now if we refresh again, you can see here now the 99 has been updated on the on-hand side. We also have -1 showing up on uh, our 3XL, and the same thing down here, right? So once we've fulfilled, then that -1 is applied to those three products. And so for many of you, this might be all you need to manage the inventory in your store. You have a few options, right? So first, the simplest method is just to not track your inventory at all, right? And just sell, don't worry about it. The second method, which tracks the simple version of inventory, which is just to add the levels of inventory that you have here, and then you might need to make an adjustment every once in a while. Let's say you get a shipment that replenishes, so you can go from 100 to 200, and you just update it here. And then as you sell items, that number will go down. But if you have a bit more complexity with your store, or you like to stay a little bit more organized, then you can also use inventory states and locations if you have multiple warehouses. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to products and then inventory, this tab right here. And this will show all of the inventory that you have in your store. So let me just refresh this first because we've actually changed the numbers a little bit. And here we can see the 99 and the -1. And we have these 5 different inventories. So we already talked about available and on hand, right? And actually, if you need a refresher on what these terms mean, you can actually just highlight it and read what it says. But we're going to go over these other states now. So committed is the next one. Committed is inventory that's part of an unfulfilled order. So before we fulfilled, this would have said 1. And we can show that if we just create another draft order. So let's just quickly make one. We'll just use the exact same products as last time. And let's refresh. Okay, so here we can see that we've now have available 98, right? On hand 99 and the committed 1. So we have this new order that we've created. We haven't fulfilled it yet, so it's committed 1, but it's still on hand in your warehouse. You haven't shipped it yet, so that's 99, and we have 98 available for sale. So that's what committed means, right? And you can see that here as well for the 3XL and the white extra small. Next, we have this unavailable. So this is, as it says here, inventory that's not available for sale or committed to an order. So this can be things like damaged, you've put it aside for quality control, or you've got some safety stock that you want to keep aside just in case you need it for any special reasons or just any other reason at all. And so you can actually say, okay, fine, that maybe we have some of our shirts are damaged. You could say 5 of these are damaged. Okay. What we've done now is we've said we've added 5 here. And then that also changes what's on hand, right? Because we've just added 5 from nowhere. So we have on hand now 99 good shirts and 5 damaged shirts, right? Which means that we and one that's committed to a sale. So that leaves us with 98 available for actual sale. And so what I actually did just now is something called a manual adjustment. So if the numbers here, aren't quite right, let's say you've done an inventory count and you're like, oh, you know what, numbers aren't quite right. You got to make adjustments. Then you could actually just change things. It's like, oh, you know what, I don't have 98 available. I only have 95 available. Then you can just make that adjustment. And once it saves, then it changes what we have on hand as well. So the adjustment that we just did was by default a correction, but there are other adjustments that you can do. So, and these are the potential reasons. So count, received, restock damage, theft, etc. So for example, let's say there was a theft and we lost 10 shirts because of this. So we're going from uh, 85 and now, we're going from 95 down to 85. And we could just go ahead and save that and it'll just adjust that for us. Or maybe we have another 3 that were damaged, right? So we can change that, right? So we go from 85 to 82. And so that will be sort of an adjustment there. So you're going to see that the adjustment that we just made here doesn't actually connect to the unavailable. So actually that's true here as well. So if we say adjust this by -3, and let's call this damaged. Reducing the stock on either the available or on hand side, even marking as damaged, doesn't actually change it here. Uh, but on the other hand, if we add another few damaged items on this side, it does update it the other way around. So that's just something to watch out for, and to understand when you are keeping track of your inventory and using all these different states. Okay, so now we have one more state. This is the incoming one. So this is inventory that's on its way to your location. So maybe you've placed an order, you know it's coming, but it hasn't arrived yet. So this is how you keep track of it here. So there's a couple ways of doing that. Um, the first way is going to be a purchase order, and the second one is a transfer, which we'll see a little bit later. So let's just create a purchase order, and let's say we are going to purchase our inventory shirt, extra small. So let's say we're going to purchase 100 of these, and let's just save this as draft. Okay. Actually, let's set an arrival date. So estimated to arrive in a couple days. Okay, and then let's mark it as ordered. So now if we go back to our inventory, we see here incoming 100 of the extra small shirt, and it's on purchase order 3. And let's say we go to our purchase order, we finally received our 100 shirts. We can receive the inventory, and we can say, 95 of them were good, but we actually had to reject 5 of these. So if we save, and we can go back to our inventory, and now you can see here we've added the 95 shirts to both sides, both available and on hand. Okay, and then maybe we've done a whole bunch of different inventory adjustments or actions on your products, and you've sort of lost track. Hey, what did I do, or what happened along the way? Maybe maybe you just need to look it up for historical reasons, or to see what was going on with your store, because as long as this number is fine, generally that's all you care about. But uh, if you need to know how it's gone up and down, and where did, maybe you had 200, and you see there's 12 less at 188. You're like, where did those go? Well, you can go to your product, and let's leave the page, and you can come down to your variant. You can select the individual variant. So this is the extra small, and you can go to adjustment history. And then in the adjustment history, it gives you a record of every change that happened to the inventory of this item, right? So we've got the purchase order that we just did and how many it added. What we've done, it shows that we've marked some as damaged, we've done some corrections, we've created an order, right? So all of these different adjustments get logged into your adjustment history so you can see exactly what happened. Okay, and so that's the different states that we have in the inventory area, and that gives you a lot of optionality on how to manage and track all of your inventory, from what you have on hand, what you have that you need to still fulfill on, how many that you have available to sell, how many are damaged or are in QC, or that need to be set aside for safety, and maybe you've got some new ones coming in, so you can see how much are incoming as well. So there's a quite a bit of granularity that you can get into that helps you keep better track of where your products are and helps you stay on top of your inventory. Now, if you actually have multiple warehouses, so in this case, this is a single warehouse and all of your stock is in one place, but you might actually have a second warehouse. So, how do we actually use that? So, we can come to the settings, and if you go to locations, you can create a new location by add location. And let's call this the New York warehouse. And this is going to be in the United States. And let's set it up at the Empire State Building. Okay, so let's save. And now we can actually go to our locations and change it to the New York warehouse. And we can see here we've got no inventory in our New York warehouse. Well, we can actually change that. So one way of doing that is going back to our product and just selecting all, bulk edit. And we can now see here that we can start stocking in the New York warehouse. So right now it's showing not stocked, but you can actually say stock at this location, and you can turn that on. So why don't we go ahead and just do that? So I've just copied that 0 and just pasted it there. So now I've turned on stocking for the New York warehouse. And we're just going to, let's just say we only stock these black ones here. So let's just do that. Okay, so we'll save. So you can see here it's pretty similar to managing the inventory of your single location, except now you just need to recognize that you have to do the same thing for the other warehouse. If we come back to the inventory area, we can now just refresh, and we can see here now what inventory we have in the New York warehouse, right? Since we turned on tracking of inventory for every variant of this item, you can see that most of them are still 0, but we have 100 for the black ones. So earlier I was talking about how the incoming tab can be changed in 2 ways. So the first one was a purchase order, but now that we've created another location, you can actually do a transfer as well. And so that's going to be to transfer from one warehouse to the other. So what we can say is we're going to originate from the New York warehouse, and we're going to our default shop location, and we're going to transfer over 50 items. And let's say we're expecting this to come in a couple days. We can save as draft. And what it does is it creates a transfer order, right? So T002. And if we come back to our inventory, it should show here, but it's probably still in draft. So let's go back to the transfers, and let's actually mark it as pending. Okay, so once we marked it as pending, it's now active. We can go back to our inventory again, and we can see here the 50 incoming are they're coming from the New York warehouse. And once they've arrived, you can come here, receive them again, right? You can select if they're all going to be accepted or if maybe some of them are rejected. Uh, you probably want to add it up so it's to 50. But let's just say in this case, they're all good. So we'll save. And then now that we've received the inventory, we can go back to the inventory area. And we can see here we've added another 50 to our extra small here and no longer incoming. And if we come back to our New York warehouse, we've now lost 50. Well, not lost, but we've now transferred over the 50. So we've got 50 less items in the New York warehouse. All right. So those are your Shopify inventory features. Every Shopify store is going to have these options. So it really is up to you on how you want to manage your store's inventory, whether you want to go with the more simple method I described a little bit earlier, or go a little bit more complex and track what's damaged, what's incoming, and some of those other states. Now, if you have even more complex inventory needs, or you're moving some real serious volume, then what I've shown here might still not be enough for you. And in those cases, you might need something called an inventory management system or ERP, so an enterprise resource planning, or MRP, materials resource planning software. On the inventory side, these tools can give you features like keeping track of your raw goods. So, for example, what you're seeing here is the inventory of a finished good. But let's say you actually manufacture your own shirts and you need to keep track of how many black t-shirts that you have, right? And you use the same black t-shirt for all of your different designs. So if you minus one t-shirt for one design, you have to minus it for everything, right? But Shopify doesn't really allow you to do that because this is only tracking the finished good. So more advanced software can help you keep track of those raw goods as well. What they can also do is they can help you forecast. They can do things like automatic reordering to get you to get you back up in stock, or just simply low stock alerts. So there's a lot of really advanced features that you could add, but you'd have to use an external system for that. Now, I can't suggest one for you because I haven't really used one enough to feel comfortable recommending. But a quick search through the App Store will give you some basic ones that you can test out. All right, that's it. Hopefully, you now have a strong understanding of the inventory features in Shopify so that you never lose track of your products again. Let me know in the comments if this helps or if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.